All right, this is regarding the substance of what I'm capturing right now, the October 19, 2025 podcast. The entity is in furtherance of murder, seeking to obstruct justice and stop an ongoing investigation. The demon that's flying this plane is subject to prison. The demon gang stalking by helicopter is subject to prison. Jason Isaac Fields, Tracy Banks, Eric Spencer, the employee at Chevron, the gang stalkers, the kidnappers at Starbucks, they're going to federal prison for engaging in obstruction while the entity is monitoring, and this is what they're monitoring, while they're flying over the defendants of Sarah's Regis Group at 320 North Euclid Avenue and sex offenders 9FLR 485 engaging in sexual violence while they're engaging in what is an ongoing campaign interfering with an ongoing federal case. This is not helping Tracy Banks. Tracy Banks is going to federal prison. This is not helping Joseph Velasco or L. Edwards engaging in kidnapping at the Starbucks under the fake sun that's still over me while I'm looking at that same venue where they committed kidnapping. It's 9:43 a.m. It's not helping them. They're going to federal prison. And this is what American citizens are subject to when they're murdered and there's no explanation. The entity intends to interfere with justice, and you're going to federal prison for that. Mike LORENZ is being removed, and Paul Leon is being removed. This is the unacceptable threatening conduct. Jason Fields is going to federal prison under all circumstances. And in addition, relevant context, these are demons that are spiritually attacking. Jason Fields thinks you're not going to know that he's spiritually attacking me, and he is, but he's also being documented engaging in, as an entity, what is ongoing terrorism, seeking to obstruct justice because that demon wants to avoid prison, which he's not. He's going to federal prison. This is P.O.C. It's 9:44 a.m. This is speaking to what is a republish, another episode of October 19th, which is going on the internet, and also Staples, that is gang stalking, engaging in Title 18 federal stalking, monitoring my podcast. The entity engaging in gang stalking with the purpose of seeking to obstruct justice. Demons and pedophiles driving school buses, same pattern of conduct, same impossible light, same fake sun, by the way. The entity is engaging in this while they are going to federal prison. That's what you're winning. That's the reward for engaging in what is an ongoing investigation about the government that will not commit murders and then conceal the evidence regarding it, that will not engage in sexual violence and sexual assault and battery and terrorism and stalking in the middle of the night and then avoid publishing the evidence. They're going to prison. This is P.O.C.
All right, the following video is relevant context regarding the ongoing criminal surveillance under Title 18, Section 22618, subsections 1 and 2. And the entity is engaged in federal stalking with the criminal objective of obstructing justice. And this is always committed in furtherance of murder. That's why the entity is gang stalking in the first place. So when you're engaged in what is the ongoing pattern of conduct, as the city of Ontario is in the video that you're listening to, this is my documentation capturing the real-time engagement in what is obstruction online, where surveillance is underway. And surveillance that's happening online is relevant to what's happening in relevant position to you, where devices and the internet is relevant to what is being kept under surveillance, and the entity is doing so while an ongoing pending case. A federal investigation is underway, and the entity is fully apprised of that and has every ongoing intention, as the impunity shows and the malice shows, to continuously engage in that unlawful threat to the life of an American citizen, because that's what it comes down to. The entity is engaging in what is ongoing gang stalking and obstruction of justice. The entity that's stalking by helicopter, which you will listen to. The entity that's stalking by commercial planes, which you just listened to and continuously is engaging in. The entity that you will also listen to gang stalking today. This is evidence that's coinciding with what you're listening to yesterday, October 19th, 2025. Documentation captured today, October 20th, 2025, is relevant to obstruction as that podcast, which is evidence in a pending case regarding a government that's engaged in what is conspiracy to commit murder and is continuously engaging and targeting that American citizen with knowledge that it is being exposed, published on the internet, which is relevant to protecting that American citizen. And the federal government is directly engaged in that unlawful threat. The entity that's engaged in kidnapping, this is relevant to the penalties that all of that entity is going to be subject to. The disbanding, the removal from office, the removal of those departments engaging in that conspiracy to commit murder, federal imprisonment of the people of the state sharing in what is sexual violence, physical violence, engaging in what is criminal summoning, engaging in the systematic means of criminal surveillance, like at the Ovid Family Community Library, where they're all pacing around like lunatics in engineered light, sounding an alarm in the building. As I begin documenting, this is what you'll listen to in the evidence today for October 20th, 2025. And literally as I document and capture Spotify on the internet, where you're looking at an entity that is outside of the state of California. Okay, and the entity that is referring to my inquiry about what is under no circumstances any sort of notation regarding asserted malfunctions or service issues, it becomes a service issue when I inquire about the inability to upload my podcast, which is, again, relevant to obstruction of justice. It is not under any circumstances rebutted by the P.O.C. What the entity is doing in relevant position under a fake sun is directly impacting internet connectivity, access, and that's an unlawful threat to American citizens who are being kept under surveillance and defamed and kidnapped, both on the internet, and what is happening on the internet is relevant to what is the threat to the lives of American citizens. And the city of Ontario committed that as a matter of documentation. And they're also doing so while Spotify is engaged in that pattern of conduct, taking any sort of onus regarding, oh, we're having technological issues on our end, and it's also relevant to what is the pattern of conduct under all circumstances. This is surveillance that's underway in this country, and wherever this bot is that's responding to me going by the name of Mark on the internet, this is evidence that'll be published today, October 20th. This is relevant to what is an entity that is outside of California, that is on the venue of the internet, that maintain uniform information regarding my interests, which the entity is acting adversely toward, publishing evidence of the conspiracy to commit murder by the system of gang stalking. Okay, so claiming anything, I want to be clear, Spotify's claim, oh, we have a service issue, that's has no bearing regarding the entity that is in relevant position, maintaining the fake sun, the engineered light, the ongoing presence in that environment, which is achieving surveillance, while the entity is under no circumstances taking away what is the pattern of conduct as I'm documenting it. So this is, again, competing interests regarding what is Spotify on the internet claiming, which is notated nowhere on the website, nowhere on the podcast for creators. You're not letting those that are both free accounts and paid accounts, letting them know that they're going to encounter issues with regard to people that are making money, and you're not letting anybody know that you're having service issues. This is what Mark is stating at 2:25 p.m. I want to be clear, I'm dealing with an entity, that's who I'm speaking to, that are engaging in what is trying to maintain an ongoing narrative, which they've already failed. Okay, there are people in New York that know what I'm documenting. As I use these platforms, YouTube knows exactly what it is that I'm documenting, what I'm publishing online, and an entity is claiming that they are having service issues, and that's why the audio podcast was unilaterally converting into some sort of video upload that then never finished processing, which thereby accomplished me not being able to publish. This is while the entity is stalking under a fake sun and amongst engineered light, by a helicopter, by airplanes, where the entity is clearly stalking by that police department and clearly stalking by that airport, and doing so in concert with the people of the state that are also shown to be clearly stalking in that environment as well. The Spotify's claim of having malfunctions that they did not publish for the convenience of those that are using that platform, including paying to use that platform, including relying on publishing information, which is a protection for their life and safety. That is speaking to what is relevant to an entity that you are communicating with, an entity that is not helping Tracy Banks, Jason Isaac Fields, the demons that are kidnapping at Starbucks. They are subject to what is federal prison. There is, in other words, no exception or no nuance whereby, oh, well, that is obstructing justice, if you will, but it's not going to be relevant to the defamation and the ongoing kidnappings that Jason Isaac Fields and the Ontario Police Department share in with regard to that threat posed in real time, while you can't publish that evidence on the internet. So I just want to be clear, there is no third party that's going to inject themselves and state, even the platform itself, oh, we are having technological issues, and that's why on your end you're not able to. The pattern of conduct is showing what the entity is doing, affecting the internet. Spotify can inject itself. That's relevant to what is a prosecution. The entity is engaging in the pattern of conduct, and you are making any series of admissions that you would like in a court case, but the entity is monitoring on the internet. And I've already shown how the entity is engaged in real-time impact of the internet, of your devices, and the significance of that specific environment pursuant to surveillance. And so this is relevant to the video that you listen to, and it's relevant to everything that is following, that is published on October 19, 2025. It is October 20th. This is relevant to the entity that is subject to prison. Every kidnapping so-called police officer, every kidnapping employee at Ovid Family Community Library, every kidnapping Starbucks employee, every kidnapping occupant at Woodside Senior Apartments, including Tracy Banks, Jason Isaac Fields' sex partner, the entity that's engaging in gang stalking on the roads and the highways like I'm documenting, they're going to prison, and this is relevant to what is an unlawful threat to your life while they're gang stalk you in furtherance of murder. And then the entity engages in what is targeting, trying to muzzle the mouth of an American citizen who has a human right and a constitutional constitutional right to not be terrorized by the United States government, that is delusional with regard to stopping justice. This is a means of federal stalking today, and it is not actually resolved. It just stopped happening the moment that I accessed going by the name of Mark, some bot on the messaging for Spotify. That's not a resolution. It's relevant to what is monitoring on the venue of the internet. I troubleshooted regarding the use of Wi-Fi, Arco's Wi-Fi, City of Ontario's Wi-Fi, and my own phone using my own internet. The entity is engaging what is interfering with internet access while I'm using different files. Troubleshooting, the same issue is occurring. It's with regard to internet connectivity. That's how they're engaging what is converting the file and stopping it, keeping it in a perpetual place of processing and stopping the ability to upload. Spotify can inject whatever they want regarding it's on their end, and that's why you're not able. It is an unlawful threat to the life of an American citizen. If you would like to admit that, the people of the state in relevant position are going to federal prison. Anything that is threatening the life of an American citizen, you're going to prison for it. So this is relevant to what is the full podcast. It's an hour and 36 minutes long. It's over an hour and a half. This is an upload that the entity is impeding today. It's October 20th, 2025, and this is immediately proceeding because it's relevant to the prosecution of the U.S. government that is engaged in gang stalking and is still engaging in what is the ongoing pattern of conduct in furtherance of murder while there is a pending case which the federal government is going to be prosecuted for. Going to these lengths to murder someone is what you are going to federal prison for. That includes Jason Isaac Fields. This is P.O.C.
My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California.
Notice, intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. These are the demons of Starbucks that are monitoring. First of all, this is not the sun. And you'll see from my images and the Ontario International Airport that's stalking in the path by flying in alignment to my person on Euclid Avenue. The entity has a fake sun as I'm crossing path by the gang stalking by the establishment, and demons that are patrons, this is the federal RICO case, 9AKT425, are monitoring and gang stalking while the fake sun reflects off of a door and it moves in alignment to me, was just in alignment with the church. If that was the sun, it's not moving in real time. It's not moving through the windows of these vehicles. It remains stationary, and that's not what's happening when I'm documenting on Omnitrends. Those are demons that are driving in engineer light, and they're engaging what is attacking me with engineer light. These are the demons that are going to federal prison for gang stalking with the Ontario police, and engineer light flings all across the street outside, which is a terrorizing threat. And the sun would still not be here, contrary to what I documented, at 6 p.m. when this fake sun is sitting right here on the top of this building where the Ontario police are gang stalking by helicopter, just like they were last night. All right. And just like I'm documenting the people of the state engaging in on a ceaseless basis like they are now. That's not the natural environment. This is where Starbucks is targeting. And they're doing so while they're opening and closing the door, walking in engineer light. These demons are going to federal prison. And they're targeting me while they're inside like cowards, gang stalking me and molesting. This is a sex offense. This is P.O.C. License 8YHH435, license 9AKT425. And going in and purchasing a coffee drink is actually a federal offense. It's a federal RICO case. This is federal criminal monitoring and furtherance of murder. This is P.O.C. And you know that engineer light flies underneath and inside of the buildings while I'm inside of Starbucks because I've thoroughly surrounded them with evidence. They're engaged in federal stalking under Title 18, and it's demonic. They're terrorists, and they're engaged in monitoring the genitalia of American citizens whom they sell coffee to. This is P.O.C., and it's currently 7:27 a.m. 1 a.m. and it is currently Sunday, October 19th, 2025. The video you just listened to is relevant to stalking by the City of Ontario, doing so as demons. This is the Nephilim gang stalking during the day. They're stalking at nightfall using fire trucks. That's stalking with light. Doing so in engineer light while I have multiple shadows all around me. That's stalking with light. They do so as a demon-possessed entity, all together stalking me under a fake sun. And the entity is stalking at 8:40 a.m. with helicopter. That's the same agency that is engaged in stalking me from place to place. And they are also very fearful of what it is that I'm doing as I speak truth, as I expose, as I document and publish it on the internet, as I humiliate based on facts regarding what demons are doing that they don't want spoken about. And it's a government that's interfering with my freedom of speech. Not only that, the freedom that I maintain and the human right that I maintain to enforce my constitutional right to not be subject to terrorism, to not have my vagina monitored by sex offenders hiding around in costumes and calling itself what is a police department so that you don't know that they're predators. This is an entity that is very fearful also as I read scripture, and that's what I'm doing at the Ontario Town Square. The demons are very fearful of what is the reality. I'm going to be clear. This is spiritual. All right. And these are demons that have lost. Satan has lost by virtue of a prosecution, because it's nothing other than physical evidence of what is spiritual warfare that the demons have lost. And they have sacrificed themselves in doing so. And I want to be clear. The entity is stalking by helicopter while they're monitoring on my device. And what they're actually monitoring is as I'm reading scripture online, which demons are very much intimidated, very fearful of. They are weak. And that's why you're using a whole helicopter. Pay attention. That's why you're using a whole helicopter to stalk little old me. It is the prosecution for the entity that is engaged in gang stalking with that agency. Every single last person that engaged in kidnapping with the city of Ontario is going to federal prison. This is the exposure of terrorists, and this is how American citizens are targeted. And the penalty for committing kidnapping as a terrorist in the United States shall be federal prison and nothing less. Okay, and it's not going to be based on how long you were kidnapped. I have been kidnapped for as long as and exceeding 6 months, and for as short as 12 hours. It is equally unlawful and inhumane where you are subject to surveillance, and the entity did so while I am in the role of federal prosecutor, and you have the audacity to interfere with an ongoing federal case, and you do it before the world. The world is going to witness how terrorism is going to be treated and assessed in the United States, and it's going to be putting terrorists that are masquerading as police departments in prison and putting them in asylums. All right, it is currently 8:43 a.m. The entity is stalking at the Ontario Town Square under the fake sun. Remember yesterday, the entity kept the fake sun over the chevron where the entity engaged in what is flying over my head. That is stalking and terrorizing me, threatening by Paul Leon, who was the substance of the documentation that's being published online, while his unfit character and his status that he maintains as a terrorist, while this is underway on any mayor's watch, you are exposed as a terrorist. You're not secretly engaging in this terrorism, and the entity is incriminating a gang stalking mayor and exposing them while I am documenting that the entity engages in what is stalking by helicopter, and that was during the 8 a.m. hour. It's 8:44 a.m. The entity did that at approximately 8:51 a.m. The fake sun is not over the chevron. It's right here over me at the Ontario Town Square, where indeed a demon-possessed population is very fearful as I read the Bible, scripture, okay? And that's based on what their nature is. These are demons, and these are trembling demonic spirits. And I want to be clear, you're witnessing fear while they stalk me around in helicopters. Those are demons that are very fearful and intimidated. It's not an act of power. It's not an act of force. It's not something that strong people are engaging. This is something that very petrified and weak demons use to intimidate people that they think that they can bully, and the entity's doing against me because they're scared to death. They're scared. They pull out their helicopters when I start speaking truths. And that very criminal conduct, which is documented, is putting them in cages where animals belong. That's where terrorists belong, and that's where they're going. The entity is engaged in gang stalking while they are monitoring on my device, and I'm also going to speak to what it is that I'm doing because it's relevant to prosecution. Not only the fact that you're engaged in federal stalking, but what it is that you are, the intent behind your criminal activity at the moment. And it's relevant to what is scripture. This is getting to their nature. These are demons, very fearful and spiritually inferior. But it's also relevant to what is federal stalking, monitoring on my device. It's legally relevant when I'm documenting, for example, publishing evidence. Those are the demons. Those are the terrorists that are interfering with a federal case, as though you're going to step in federal court and stop a federal judge from engaging in one and entertaining a federal case in a courtroom. You're not, and you're also not going to do it on the internet. This is things that a third-party YouTube has engaged in. These are things that the people of the state monitoring on my device, monitoring on the internet have engaged in. These are things that this agency has committed, stealing evidence, all of which the penalty is federal prison. This is P.O.C. It's currently 8:46 a.m. And I'm going to go ahead and capture an image of the fake sun. That is, I want to be clear, while the demon-possessed are stalking, pacing on the grounds of the venue, doing so under a fake sun that is distinct from being over me at Chevron. Remember, I'm at Chevron. I'm facing what is essentially east. All right, I'm facing east while I'm at 506 North Euclid Avenue. The entity is engaged in what is flying in circles over me at Chevron while I'm at Ontario Town Square. It is relative to where is in between Ontario Town Square and Chevron is the Arco, is the downtown Ontario luxury apartments at 320 North Euclid Avenue, which is north, okay? So I am showing you the fake sun that is over the Ontario Town Square right now. It is in perfect alignment with me, just like it is while I am south of downtown Ontario luxury apartments, which is not the same address. It's very clear. Even while I am on the opposite side of one building, this is clear evidence of stalking, and it's clear evidence of stalking by a police department, which is committed in furtherance of murder, and they're doing so while they've committed kidnappings. This is relevant to the entity that's committed kidnappings while they were engaged in surveillance, so they knew that they were, in other words, I've already stated this, but this is just connecting all the dots. This is how you're analyzing the evidence. This is how you're going back and looking at what they did, because you are recognizing the P.O.C. and the aggregate when you're looking at the specific environment. So you are also then connecting dots. The entity knows that it's lying about somebody being subject to harassment by myself when they're engaged in gang stalking, which is proven in a specific environment. And it is very much clear while the fake sun is on the north side of the downtown Ontario luxury apartments, as opposed to yesterday at the same time when it is on the south side of the downtown Ontario luxury apartments at 506 North Euclid Avenue, where the entity is engaging in the pattern of stalking with a helicopter. Doing so while they are keeping evidence under surveillance, which is also a federal no-no by the defendant, the state. Okay, this is P.O.C. The entity has the fake sun at the same Ontario Town Square. Also, this is another angle of the same ability to prosecute. The sun's also not going to be on the at the same property at 6 in the evening, which is what I'm also documenting. At 1 o'clock, when the Ovid Family Community Library opens, it's going to be east of the square and over that entrance, which is also not the sun. This is the entity under all circumstances stalking me specifically, just like I'm documenting. And this is an entity that was stalking with light. The fire department using those fire trucks and sirens, that's stalking with noise and light. That's what every demon is doing under a fake sun. The fake sun that remains over me, where all of them are exposed as demons and they're all stalking me. And this is getting to the illusion of a natural environment, normal everyday life, where people want to appear as though they're minding their business, going about their day. And this is a demon-possessed population. This is the Nephilim, and their whole existence is staged. It's all about the investment in murdering one person. And the so-called Ontario police are being removed from existence altogether. The city of Ontario is being gutted out. Paul Leon is being removed. He is no mayor. Mike LORENZ is no chief of police. These are terrorist leaders, and they are being ripped out of those positions. And every terrorist that put their hands on me, every terrorist that lied as to the reason why they were, every terrorist that was aided in doing so, the people of the state, criminal summoning, kidnapping as an entity, in furtherance of murder, pursuant to federal stalking, they're going to federal prison. It is currently 8:49 a.m. Those are the demon-possessed that are terrified of me as I read the Bible. Okay, and that's because they know the power of Scripture. And they know the power of Scripture regarding those that walk with Christ. Okay, that's relevant to what is their nature. That's letting you know also that they're demons. It's also an act of fear. It is currently 8:50 a.m. This is P.O.C. at 224 North Euclid Avenue. Alrighty, this is indeed stalking, and that is Delta Airlines. Delta Airlines is a state actor. It's not a private company. Status is based on their criminal activity, which is also facilitation of federal group stalking and monitoring, which is committed in furtherance of murder. And the people of the state are demons, number one, and they're stalking while they're monitoring. And you know all of that based on the position of the fake sun at the same time yesterday, when the population is stalking me on the opposite side of this apartment building, where the fake sun is south of this location at the same time at 9:58 a.m. It's currently 9:57, it's 9:58 now, where Delta Airlines is flying what is the north side of the downtown Ontario luxury apartments at 9:58 a.m., where the fake sun is on the opposite side. This is the Ovid. The fake sun is south east of this location, while I'm on the opposite side of this apartment building, and the entity is the Ontario International Airport, is the city of Ontario that's going to be stripped regarding an airport used for terrorism and furtherance of murder of an American citizen in concert with the people of the state who are engaged in surveillance. At 224 North Euclid Avenue, where this sun, this is a fake sun, this is the identification of a crime scene and the identification of criminals engaging in what is a malicious targeting system. And the fake sun is at the same time on the opposite side of this apartment building yesterday, where I am then documenting walking to this location, to that Ovid Family Community Library, and the fake sun is at 10:04 a.m. over the entrance of this library, 215 E.C. Street, where it's still over that entrance after 4 p.m. This is all under all circumstances identifying the people of the state, who are the people of the state that use commercial airline planes, as well as the prosecution of Delta Airlines, which is a domestic terrorist. The entity is engaged in the same criminal conduct as the Ontario police, who are targeting and furtherance of murder. And they also share that condition. These are demons who are exposed in their demonic environment where their criminal activity is also exposed as well. This is also the basis of the ability to recognize a threat to national security, which is the identification of mass pervasive mental illness, psychopathic in nature. The fake sun is not the natural environment where the sun would be on the opposite side of this apartment building. And if it was a sun, this is 10 a.m. The entity has the fake sun on the opposite side of the downtown Ontario luxury apartments while I'm in the parking lot. And while I'm in the parking lot, I'm facing this direction. While I am on what is the north side of this apartment building, and I'm facing this direction, the sun wouldn't be in this direction. It would be behind my person south if it was the natural environment, and it also would not be hovering low. It's shorter than the clock. This is common sense scrutiny of the environment, but you're also getting to time of day, direction that I'm facing, what the entity is doing in the environment. Where the fake sun is where they are stalking the targeted individual, and the fake sun at the same time yesterday is on the opposite side of this apartment building, which is again Sarah's Regis group that is gang stalking as well. It is currently 10 a.m. This is P.O.C. Time is 10:02 a.m. Capturing that video, showing you the evidence. The case is already complete against the state of California and the exposure of the Nephilim, who are engaged in targeting American citizens in the way that the U.S. government in California is exposed. The mentally ill are engaged in repeating the ongoing evidence of them stalking while they're being documented. It's 10:02 a.m. The entities, that's the mental illness, by the way. So at the same time yesterday, the entity is indeed engaging in the pattern of conduct where you are listening to what is evidence of stalking and also evidence of mental illness. And this is shared by the entity that is using planes and helicopters to target an American citizen in furtherance of murder. And while we are going over that, I just want you to see the faces of those that are going to be subject to what is federal prison. Engaging in what is surveillance is the entity that is calling itself a police department, and the entity that is targeting in furtherance of murder, which is the entity that is engaging in gang stalking using commercial airline planes, doing so under the corrupt leadership of somebody that is entirely unfit for office. This is under the watch, the knowing criminal and corrupt conduct. This is Paul Leon's handiwork. He's being removed from office for the criminal monitoring that the city of Ontario is obviously engaging in, as now what are acts of desperation when you are caught engaging in what is stalking in the absurdly psychopathic manners that the city of Ontario is. You do not engage in more of it in real time while it's being captured, but for being a psychopath and the demons that are engaging in that. This is shared by the leadership of the Ontario International Airport. These are terrorists, and they are going to be subject to what is removal from position. They are losing their jobs. They will never have anything to do with any sort of airport or flights, pilots, any sort of leadership, and they're going to be, with regard to prosecution, identified as the domestic terrorists that they are. And every plane that's coming from the Ontario International Airport is doing so with the knowledge of these terrorists who are going to be removed from the positions where they pose a threat to the national security, and they pose a threat to the public. While the entities engaged in what is targeting me, this is what the city of Ontario is doing against ordinary American citizens that don't have the evidence of the P.O.C. to prove that psychopaths, the Nephilim, corruption at the level of what is a local and state government and federal government is engaging in what is targeting American citizens in ways in which defy what a normal human being can fathom. That's what's relevant regarding the plane activity that you're listening to while demons are sitting back watching me expose them. Now, yesterday at the same time, you looked at what was the entity stalking in planes like they are now, and doing so, and I want you to listen to it, and you're going to pay attention to where I'm located. What you're looking at is the downtown Ontario luxury apartments, and in this video, what you're looking at is the downtown Ontario luxury apartments right here. On the, what is the north side is at the top. This is the south side of the same apartment building where the fake sun is at the same time over me, where the entity is identified as stalking. And the fake sun is on different sides of the same apartment building at the same time, where you're looking at also what is evidence of stalking, not only because no flights are taken off from the airport by hovering over Sarah's Regis, downtown Ontario luxury apartments, engaging in U-turns, doing so, which is evident under a fake sun. The sun that's still at the same Ontario Town Square after 6 p.m. In addition to that, I'm just showing you what is the fake sun at the same time while this airport, under the corrupt leadership of Paul Leon and Alan D. WAPNER and a so-called Ontario board and a so-called Ontario executive team, sharing in the pattern of conduct by the so-called Ontario Police Department, are engaging in what is aerial surveillance and furtherance of psychological torture, which precedes murder committed by an entity that is demon-possessed, engaging in what is sacrifices unto Satan. That's what's relevant regarding this demonic environment and this blatant stalking using commercial planes. While I'm showing you a fake sun that's directly next to the clock, north of the downtown Ontario luxury apartments, and I'm showing you this fake sun that's over me in the parking lot of what is the Chevron where the Arco where I'm located. Okay, this is not next to the clock. What you see here at I'm starting this video at 9:58 a.m. is not here. It's very distinct. It's very clear. In fact, the apartment building itself stands between these two landmarks, identifying where the fake sun is situated over me at the same time, where you're looking at the evidence of an airport that is targeting. Airports are targeting in furtherance of murder, engaging in psychological torture, harassment, and with the intent to terrorize an American citizen. And they are mentally ill psychopaths who do so. In fact, they're so delusional and psychopathic. They engage in more of it, like you hear at the outset of this video, based on what is a guilty conscience, and psychopaths engage in more criminal conduct, more sexual violence, more terrorism as they are demonic spirits. These are not normal human beings. These are the Nephilim. They engage in more violence as they are caught being exposed as demons and engaging in what is targeting American citizens, targeting people. Okay, and that's what's relevant regarding this video that I'm capturing of the entity stalking today. Flying what is the north side of the downtown Ontario luxury apartments at 9:58 a.m. where the fake sun is on the opposite side. This is the ovid. The fake sun is south east of this location while I'm on the opposite side of this apartment building, and the entity is... And that's what you're looking at here, and this is what is happening at the people of the state. That's their legal term under the law where domestic terrorism is exposed in the state of California. Alrighty, this is 9:57 a.m. This has nothing to do with any takeoff from the airport at 2500 Airport Drive, nor any landing at the airport, a takeoff or a landing. This is flying what is in alignment to my person, just like I showed you at the Ontario Town Square. And they're doing the same thing, stalking in my path, doing so where I'm positioned in the parking lot and doing a U-turn because the Ontario International Airport's not engaged in what is doing donuts for show, for pay. They're engaged in stalking, and psychopaths that are mental so using helicopters do so as the people of the state. That's their legal term under the law where domestic terrorism is exposed in the... This is the entity that's in clearly distinct locations with the fake sun. I'm on opposite positions of the Ovid Family Community Library. Yesterday at this time, I then walked from this parking lot, showing the fake sun moving as I move, showing stalkers the entire time engaging in surveillance with the government that's using planes and helicopters, doing so as I am walking from the venue toward the library. The fake sun is now west of this entrance, already at the Ontario Town Square area. But yesterday at this time, I am showing you what is the absence of that fake sun. As I approach this location, the fake sun remains over me in doing so. You see how it's moving as I move, as I approach what is this location where I'm at now, facing the Ontario Ovid Family Community Library, where this fake sun is in this same position in the afternoon. This is 215 East C Street. This is the C Street turn circle. This is where I'm at in this video, facing this location and the absence of any sun over here, okay? And this is in this video where you're looking at what is impossible, an inconsistent environment. That is an environment that's tailored to the targeted individual who is indeed being stalked, who is indeed being monitored by demons, who is indeed under surveillance by a demon-possessed population and a corrupt government. This is the removal of Paul Leon from office. This is the removal of Mike LORENZ and Michael GERKEN and Alan D. WAPNER, and the removal of the airport, the fire department, the entity that's engaging in surveillance in these ways, okay? It is currently, by the way, 10:10 a.m. This is the absence of any sun over the Ovid Family Community Library, where I'm capturing it as I walk in at 10:04 a.m. That's where Southwest Airlines and Delta Airlines are engaging in the demonic pattern of conduct, and they do so in furtherance of murder, just like Starbucks, that is sharing in what is a kidnapping with the Ontario police. They're doing so while they keep evidence of them terrorizing an American citizen that they are keeping under surveillance in furtherance of a criminal objective to murder. They're doing so with knowledge of that evidence, and this is the ongoing absence of any sun over that entrance, contrary to what I'm documenting at this time yesterday when I'm walking into the entrance of the library and the fake sun is remaining over me as I walk into that venue. This is captured at 10:05 a.m. It is 10:11 a.m. There is no such sun that is over these demons who are engaging in monitoring vagina in the bathrooms, who are gang stalking demons. And this is what they're doing outside, being gang stalking demons. The demons that are engaging in what is kidnapping with the city of Ontario are going to federal prison. And it includes those that are stalking in commercial planes with that Ontario Police Department. I've documented their cooperative acts of monitoring while they're wearing nothing other than police uniforms, being the same demon-possessed entity, and doing so using helicopters, the most terrorizing means that American citizens are targeted with, and they are exhibiting demon possession in doing so. This is a fake sun that is not over the Ovitt Family Community Library, where I'm documenting, by the way, since we're capturing it. We are at 9 minutes, but I'm going to go ahead and capture it anyway because the fake sun remains over the Ovitt Family Community Library at 4:25 p.m. That's this entrance right here. That's this entrance right here, where the sun is still not present. Speaking to stalking, that's crossing path. This entire apartment building is filled with gang stalkers. This bank, everybody that goes to work, everybody that goes to the ATM thinking that nobody knows that they're demons and that they're stalking a specific person. They're gang stalking in furtherance of murder, and they know exactly who the target individual is. They know exactly what the target individual is saying and documenting on their device. They know the status of the targeted individual's vagina, which is exactly why they are going to be documented and prosecuted as sex offenders in the state of California. And this is the categorical identification of mental illness that is covering a population that is engaging in this demonic pattern of conduct. This is P.O.C. It is currently 10:12 a.m. And just to show you one more vantage point, the entity that's engaged in this pattern of conduct is doing so with regard to the clear placement of that fake sun, which is remaining on clearly distinguishable positions of the downtown Ontario luxury apartments. The entity has the fake sun at the Chevron right here, where I am standing at the Arco parking lot right here, where I am standing in that parking lot, and the entity is maintaining that fake sun on this side. This is the downtown Ontario luxury apartment building here, and this is the Ontario Town Square. The fake sun's on this side of the apartment, where the entity is stalking with planes on this side of the apartment building. And today, at the same time, I'm capturing video of the entity with the fake sun over me at this Ontario Town Square, where the fake sun is on the north side of the same apartment building. And the entity is maintaining a fake sun over me, showing you that government that is stalking in concert with the people of the state. This is not traffic, it's surveillance, and that is not the operations of a legitimate airport. It is surveillance, and it's committed in furtherance of murder. This is indeed the pattern of conduct, and the gang stalking mayors throughout the state of California are being removed from office, being exposed as domestic enemies in the United States. Okay, terrorism in the United States is occurring by homegrown terrorists that hate this country, and you are witnessing them and their openly exposed demise for the Constitution and the American citizens enforcing their constitutional rights. They want to be sex offenders, they want to be serial killers, they want to be thieves, and they want to do it in violation of your constitutional rights and human rights. And that is speaking to those that are a threat to this country as a population practices that. Okay, this is the ease with which the people of the state are gang stalking, and it is the P.O.C. All right, going on surveillance cameras, though, this is how you're going to prosecute, because the government is going to produce the business records, and this is how you're going to prosecute and identify those that are stalking in the path on behalf of a government, and does it through millions of people at one time. All right, this is P.O.C. I'm going to document these license plates, and this is the body of evidence speaking to, and that fake sun moves as I move. It's still not over the entrance of the Ovitt Family Community Library. This is speaking to demons that are stalking. Going to the ATM is a means of criminal presence in the path. They're not focused on getting money out the bank. They're gang stalking. This is impossible light activity. This is not sunlight, nor is it the sun. These are demons. 8BPH260, 8XQV236, and let me show you what else. This is surveillance. These are the sex offenders that molest with impossible light. They know who you are. They are stalking, and this is the Nephilim. And the fake sun moves as I move. 240 North Euclid Avenue. This is P.O.C. And they are indeed engaged in what is targeting American citizens. That's engineer light stationary on the wall, and it's also dynamic while demons cross path. And Wells Fargo is a gang stalking venue. Wells Fargo is engaged in the P.O.C. Wells Fargo is a facilitating venue. Wells Fargo is knowingly engaging in what is that corrupt system. And these are the demon possessed that engage in surveillance with the government and furtherance of murder. P.O.C. It is currently 10:15 a.m. This is how a population is going to be prosecuted. And this is the federal RICO case against every business in California that's engaged in that pattern of conduct. It's federal stalking under Title 18 on the roads and the highways. And it's federal stalking with regard to the impulsive light activity as they're monitoring while they're engaging in that ongoing violence and terrorism and psychological torture. P.O.C. Currently 12:51 p.m. on Sunday, October 19, 2025. So there are various angles to recognize where domestic terrorists are being exposed while they are hiding amongst American citizens and in this country, and even concealing themselves amongst the government, the local government, as I'm exposing domestic terrorism in the state of California and what is happening throughout the states. Proven through what is a fake sun that's remaining over me, a grand departure from being over the entrance of the Ovid Family Community Library, by the way, and also a grand departure from being anything remotely close to being over the West Valley Detention Center. That's what I am making sure everyone hears very clearly. The West Valley Detention Center at 9700 Etiwanda Avenue in Rancho Cucamonga. At the same time, the fake sun is doing this same thing. It's maintaining this presence over the top of my head following a kidnapping by the City of Ontario, because that's what the Ontario City Hall represents. That's what the gang stalkers of the Ontario International Airport, the gang stalkers of the Ontario Police Department, the gang stalkers of the Ontario Fire Department sharing presence in this civic center represent while they're gang stalking as demons under a fake sun targeting me by virtue of the supernatural reality that I'm documenting in order to prosecute the demon possessed, a malicious government body that's engaging in what is a conspiracy to murder by gang stalking in concert with the people. The entity is at 12:51 p.m. The fake sun is over 9700 Etiwanda Drive. That's West Valley Detention Center, where Shannon Dykes is engaged in kidnapping with the City of Ontario. And the entity is also keeping this fake sun over the Ontario City Hall, 303 East B Street, which is not over the staircase inside of the Ovid Family Community Library. It's not even over the building. It's not even that direction. I have to turn and pivot to show you that's the Ovid Family Community Library, and the sun is not anywhere over a staircase where you would have any sunlight appearing on the inside of that library, on the floor, on the bottom floor. That's some piercing light in the first place that would never exist, especially when the fake sun is over that entrance at 10 a.m. in the morning. And I'm documenting that the fake sun is at 12:51 p.m. That's over almost 3 hours later. In addition to what is the ongoing analysis at same time and the duration of time where the fake sun is both rising and setting. Big picture, while I'm standing at the venue of the street that's facing the Ovid Family Community Library right here at 7 o'clock in the morning, this is where the fake sun is, where I'm standing over there. This is an illusion, and this is the illusion that's going to put kidnappers of the Ontario Police in federal prison while they're engaged in what is targeting in an environment where everything is covered with engineered light, and that is affecting your communication devices that are under surveillance, which is in violation of everyone's constitutional rights and a violation of mine, while criminal monitoring is underway by gang stalking law schools, by gang stalking city halls, gang stalking mayors, gang stalking populations that are engaging in this is public corruption, okay? And the Ontario City Hall is a facilitative unit. That is a crime scene where I'm also documenting this fake sun, this same circumstance at 10 o'clock in the morning when the entity is engaged in what is hosting an event. The entity is engaged in what is monitoring me. Like I stated, the demons are under the fake sun, engaging in what is the obsession with the target individual, not the guise of what is the illusion presented before you. Oh, it's a food festival. Oh, it's a Route 66 show. Oh, it's a kids event with regard to reading books and literacy. They're demons and they're gang stalking, and they're all psychopaths under a fake sun, keeping my vagina under surveillance. And bigger picture, where the fake sun is still here as I walk out of this library at 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the evening, this is where the Ontario City Hall is, and this is the corruption of this government building and the demons that sit in there calling themselves a city hall. These are domestic terrorists. These are vagina monitoring demons. This is the Nephilim, esteeming themselves higher than they ought to, because they're nothing other than criminals, and they are being removed from office. This is P.O.C. It is currently 12:55 p.m. This is indeed the Ontario City Hall, and this is the movement of a fake sun that is remaining over me, moving as I move, which is pursuant to what is a pattern of conduct. This would not be in this position, because this is the position of the fake sun when I'm standing down yonder and I'm capturing the fake sunrise as in alignment with this street at 7 o'clock in the morning, and here it is over the top of my head, moving as I move. Stalking. That's what identifying stalking. Everybody inside of the Ontario City Hall is a gang stalking demon, engaging what is surveillance on devices, which is a criminal surveillance system that's underway by the U.S. government in the state of California and throughout this country.
Okay? The entity is engaging what is maintaining ongoing surveillance while I'm being terrorized every day and every night at the Ontario Town Square. The Ontario City Hall is the facilitating venue. While I'm being gang stalked by commercial planes. The entity, the Ontario City Hall, is in relevant position monitoring. Keeping my vagina, stalking me in the bathroom, maintaining surveillance in and around that bathroom. The Ontario City Hall is in relevant position. Paul Leon is being removed from office because he is unfit. His mental illness as one that is of the Nephilim. He's a demon. He's also corrupt while he's a fake gang stalking pastor who is engaging what is criminal activity while seeking to hide underneath titles such as mayor. He is no mayor. He's an enemy of the United States. He's an enemy of the Constitution and American citizens whom I represent while I'm being targeted in the city of Ontario. It is currently 12:56 p.m. This is P.O.C. That is indeed engaged in stalking in the path. You're looking at the same pattern, getting in alignment to where my person is situated, crossing path under the fake sun with the demons that go inside of the library, engaging in surveillance, doing so where the fake sun is over me. This is the same Ontario City Hall. Not going toward the Ontario's town square down that way because I'm not down there. Not flying over Euclid Avenue, making a U-turn over the Arco parking lot, which would be on this side of my person because I'm not over there. This is the planes. This is indeed the pattern of conduct surveillance using our airline planes, commercial planes of the Ontario International Airport that's going to be removed altogether. It's a function of terrorism in the state, and it's a function of terrorism in the city. And they are clearly targeting with regard to the use of science to show how this is, first of all, not possibly the sun. And the entity is engaging in what is a very clear pattern of stalking me using commercial planes, doing so while I am capturing it. It's 12:58 p.m. and the demons are doing the same thing, flying in alignment over the downtown Ontario luxury apartments, which, by the way, bigger picture, the sun still wouldn't even be over this civic center. The Arco is just on the opposite side, but you're looking at what is that tailored presence with the fake sun hovering over me, where demons are engaged in making U-turns, where they get in alignment to my person, and this is where they engage in making a U-turn. That's stalking. The significance of being an engineer light is noise and presence. A demon going to the trash can is gang stalking in concert with the demons that are stalking me by planes and helicopters, stalking in the path, and that's somebody that knows that. This is the elaborate system of gang stalking. They're pacing. The vehicle and the person on foot are pacing. Demons under a fake sun. This is P.O.C. And that's why that plane that has a demon flying it doesn't extend and go on beyond whereas I'm showing you Amazon Prime gang stalking in a plane as I'm at the entrance of that library. This is P.O.C. It's 12:59 and Paul Leon is being removed because of the ongoing plane stalking over his office, over the city hall where there are no takeoffs. And you're not taking off here, and then you're also still taking off over Stater Brothers. That's the entity that is stalking under that fake sun. And these are the demons that don't have a defense in court. These are the demons that have engaged in criminal defamation. They've engaged in kidnapping, and they've engaged in ongoing harassment and keeping genitalia under surveillance with the demon-possessed people of the state. And they are being removed from position. Enemies of the United States include company names such as Southwest Airlines, Amazon Prime, Delta Airlines, all of those that are engaging in what is the ongoing unabated program of psychological torture and furtherance of murder. It is no small thing that what Amazon Prime and what Southwest Airlines are doing in plain view as I'm publishing it in a public investigation. They are openly show you how they are a threat to your life and to what is this country. And that's not going to be forgotten with regard to their reputation, the sustenance of their businesses that they don't have any constitutional rights to maintain because it's terrorism. But not only that, with regard to your position towards such enemies of this country. Pay attention. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, and this is gang stalking as I'm speaking to. This is the same that the fake sun was in this morning. I'm at the same location, and this is the same stalking by an airport that's doing so with the people of the state, demons that maintain presence. This is conspicuous stalking, and it's supposed to appear as every day. And under the fake sun, nothing appears as such. Neither appear as such when not only a fake sun is over the same person at the same address, and it literally went back east to be over the entrance, and then right back to the same location where it's at on what is now the west side of my person at the same wall. And that's, again, the demons that are monitoring my vagina, stalking while coming back to the same location where I captured screen video this morning, where the entity is keeping the fake sun on the north side of the same apartment building. And engaging in what is stalking using an airport that has no takeoffs, that would create no disturbance in the environment, where they're taking off from 2500 Airport Drive. They are hovering over this venue where a fake sun is still present, and it is present not only based on the fact that it's still here over me, but the fact that the duration of time, and with regard to the analysis, speaking to everywhere else that the body of the P.O.C. shows, where I've already shown at the same time the entity is keeping the fake sun over me at the Fontana Lewis Library. The entity is keeping the fake sun over me while I'm on the freeways, on the roads and the highways in my vehicle, and the fake sun's over my sunroof while it is currently
4:11 p.m. and I am documenting the entity keeping a fake sun outside of my hotel room over the top of my head, wherever city I'm in, capturing that P.O.C. These are the demons that are engaging what is a sex offensive surveillance in bathrooms. These are the mentally ill that you are able to readily identify. These are the demon-possessed, the Nephilim, and they include minor children in that. This is the pattern of conduct. It's currently this is 224 North Euclid Avenue, and it's 4:12 p.m. The sun would not be at the same location. This is the clock, the infamous clock. This is the same town square where the entity was stalking by helicopter. This is the same venue where the entity is doing so at nightfall. You know what? This is all engineered light. And at nightfall, when they have multiple shadows and they're walking back and forth and their kids are screaming, being activity creators, and the people of the state are stalking with impossible light, this is impossible light activity as well, because it's not the sun. This is P.O.C. This is the prosecution of the state of California. And you are gang stalking with planes and helicopters because you do so in furtherance of murder. And you also do so while you keep my genitalia under surveillance, which is a sex offense of a federal nature, which is going to be appreciated under federal law, and it is that which precedes murder committed by a government as an entity. This is P.O.C. This is stalking. The same location they were stalking this morning, the fake sun over me at 8 o'clock at the same wall. And this is where the fake sun is, and that's the entity that's stalking. Flying over my head by a small plane. That's what happened about 60 seconds ago. Ongoing systematic stalking by the Ontario National Airport and stalking by the City of Ontario. The Ontario Police Department. It's not a police department. They're being disbanded. This is the entity openly being demons. They're no longer secretly engaging in what is demonic activity. They're also no longer secretly engaging in what is targeting and furtherance of murder. They're doing it before the world, and they will be disbanded for it. This is the ongoing ceremonious outward demonstration of mental illness, pacing in a circle, flying over me while they are stalking. Doing so at what is 5:40 in the afternoon. Remember, the entity is keeping the fake sun aimed through the entrance of that library while I'm inside, while the people of the state are being demon stalking on behalf of the City of Ontario, including in the bathrooms. This is a sex offender that's also engaging what is sexual violence and furtherance of murder and psychologically harmful and sexually violent conduct. This is what demons engage in. This is gang stalking. This is going on the internet as well. This is pursuant to the pattern of conduct. I want to be clear, Paul Leon's office is right down here where I captured the fake sun at 12:51 p.m. This is non-movement at the same exact 224 North Euclid Avenue. These are demons that are engaged in what is failed witchcraft. Okay, this is spiritual, what they're doing, and it is ineffective toward me. And this is the documentation, which is capturing what is also ineffective spiritual work. This is witchcraft that the demon-possessed that are calling themselves a police department in the City of Ontario and the people of the state are engaging in. That's the significance of the demonic environment of a fake sun. Okay, this is P.O.C. The entities engaging, I want you to see where is those are indeed demons. This is targeting. This is absolutely impossible. This is speaking conclusion that there was any sun in any other state, let alone in any other city, on any other street, while the entity engages in this Aston entity. And that's mental illness exhibited while you're pacing over and also stalking in a helicopter and doing so maliciously as what's one that wants to appear as law enforcement when they're engaged in criminal surveillance and furtherance of murder. That malice is relevant to mental illness as well. It's relevant to that which is committed in furtherance of murder. These demons are engaged in what is monitoring. Monitoring is demonic. These are the demon-possessed. They're being removed from the ability to conceal themselves as a police department. The gang-stalking mayor is being removed from office. And this is the P.O.C. that Paul Leon is being removed from office for. He's fully aware of, and you will be held responsible and accountable for this public corruption of gang-stalking and furtherance of murdering American citizens. This is P.O.C. It's 5:42 p.m. This is why Tracy Banks is going to federal prison. All right, this is the same street where her and Eric Spencer are stalking me under the fake sun, where the same City of Ontario's gang stalking. They're not ignorantly engaging in that. Nor did they ignorantly engage in kidnapping with that agency and criminal defamation with that agency. They're going to prison. So is Jason Isaac Fields. This is P.O.C. It is currently, by the way, 5:42 p.m. All right, in the same way that you're looking at what is impossible light, this is impossible light rapidly disappearing. None of that is sunlight. Environment when they're stalking at nightfall in what is impossible light, multiple shadows all over the ground. All right, that's engineer light, audible activity, crossing paths, stalking by demons. And this is the evidence that's going to be used for targeting domestic terrorists in the United States.
Mike Lorenz is a stalker, keeping my vagina under surveillance, and so is Michael GERKEN. So is Alan D. WAPNER. Everybody on the so-called Ontario board, everybody that's engaging on the so-called Ontario executive team. The City of Ontario is engaged in what is criminal surveillance and furtherance of murder. And their co-defendant, Tracy Banks, Jason Isaac Fields, Eric Corey Spencer, Tommy Allen Banks, Ariana Elena Lopez, Carrie Heberlin, Edwin Lamont Grant, Morgan Amanda Smith, anybody that sat in court lying on my character while they've been engaged in gang stalking, they're all going to federal prison, and so is every kidnapper of the Ontario police. Okay? They did so pursuant to this targeting system, and they miscalculated, thinking that any American citizen, let alone myself, the federal prosecutor, is going to be defamed so that you can use a fake conservatorship and criminal defamation, manufactured information regarding what are corrupt state actors that are not medical professionals, not legitimate ones, don't have any relationship with me, targeting me in the same way that the City of Ontario is, in order to what is engage in kidnapping, and that is ultimately in furtherance of murder. This is P.O.C. Wells Fargo's gang stalking. That's why the fake sun was over me this morning. They're engaged in what is public corruption while they're gang stalking on the roads and the highways, and they're stalking in plain sight, because that's what this is. And the entity is going to be disbanded for the corruption that the City of Ontario is engaging in concert with a corrupt police department that's entirely, absurdly, mentally ill. This is mental illness that is pervasive, okay, and it's shared by the people of the state. It is currently 5:44 p.m. This is P.O.C. That's demonic pacing, just like they did in the helicopter. He's not walking to the trash can to dispose of something. He's a demon that's pacing with a communication device under the fake sun at 224 North Euclid Avenue, where the fake sun was present this morning. P.O.C. Gang stalking at Wells Fargo. P.O.C. Here's the gang again, flying back as I begin processing the video. Pursuant to the same P.O.C. Monitoring now the evidence of me capturing them stalking, going back and forth, and it is indeed targeting me specifically. This is where the fake sun is remaining. This is the pattern of conduct. I want to be clear, Jason Fields, Tracy Banks, Eric Spencer, Tommy Allen Banks, they're all going to prison. And every kidnapper. The demons that sat at this Ontario Town Square stating that I was harassing the people of the state, when they're maliciously making up information that I prove unilaterally with my evidence, they're going to prison. They're going to federal prison. So is the Securitas security guard. They're engaged in gang stalking. They're going to federal prison. The fake son is on the same street where L. Edwards is kidnapping with Alex Escobar and A. Quesada. They're going to federal prison. This is the same street. Starbucks is on the opposite side of this building. They're going to federal prison for kidnapping with that agency. It's currently 5:50 p.m. And this conspicuous stalking by the people of the state, this is gang stalking in Ontario, California. Paul Leon's being removed from office for this public corruption that's happening on his watch. In the same way that minor children contributing to their delinquency while they're gang stalking with their gang stalking parents who are demon stalked with impossible light under a fake sun. They're not ignorantly in this environment walking in impossible light. They're gang stalking and they're going to prison. This is P.O.C.
All right, this documentation is relevant to, by the way, it's currently 6:58 p.m. So the videos that you've listened to is following the fake sun that's remaining over the same entrance. Remember, the library opened today at 1 p.m., but I'm capturing the fake sun over that entrance at business hours at 10 a.m., and I'm capturing it before 10 a.m., 7:39 in the morning, 7:55 a.m. over that same entrance when you're looking at the illusion. For example, when I'm inside of the parking garage and I'm capturing that fake sun outside of that mesh metal window space inside of that parking garage that's filled with engineer lighting, you see the fake sun there, as though that's the explanation for the engineer light above my head inside of that parking garage. But that's where the entity keeps the fake sun, and it's also over the same entrance where it is over me at 215 E.C. Street, the Ovid Family Community Library. The fake sun is over upon the exit today as a matter of documentation at 4 p.m. The fake sun then goes right back to, which is east, as I walk back to the Ontario Town Square, which is at the same Civic Center area, 224 North Euclid Avenue at 4 p.m. The fake sun is where it was at 8 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock in the morning when I show you the screen recording of the fake sun that's not over the Ovid Family Community Library, when the Ontario International Airport is gang stalking me at 9:57 at the same time it was yesterday at 9:58 on both opposite sides of the downtown Ontario luxury apartments, where you see the fake sun that is north of my person in the Arco parking lot, while the Ontario International Airport is flying north of me on the south side of the downtown Ontario luxury apartments. And today, where the Ontario International Airport is stalking as demons, using planes in furtherance of murder to psychologically torture, harass, threaten, and intimidate in concert with a population that is in that environment to share in that same criminal pattern of conduct. The fake sun is north of the downtown Ontario luxury apartments, and it is north of my person as I'm looking at it, facing the big clock at the Ontario Town Square, and the demons of the Ontario International Airport are flying north of my person while I'm facing that fake sun that is on the opposite side of the apartment that it was at the same time yesterday. And that is captured in screenshots. It's discussed in what is the screen recording. It is also on the podcast, so you heard it. And you can look at that visual looking at what is the fake sun on the opposite sides of one apartment building at the same time while you're looking at what is stalking under that fake sun that's over me on both sides of that apartment complex, where it remains as I exit the Ovid Family Community Library after 4 p.m. until the sunset after 6 p.m. Now, the entity engaged in what is maintenance of surveillance, gang stalking me by planes and helicopters. And the entity is doing so by maintaining an ongoing line. The entity is not flying over Holt Boulevard with these planes. It's not flying north of my person on the opposite side of the apartment complex. The entity is maintaining a line, a beeline, stalking right where I'm located, flying over the 280 North Limit Apartments, flying over the field of the Ontario Town Square, flying adjacent to the large clock, just like it was this morning, and that's where it's remaining. That based on where I'm seated. When I am moving around at the square, when I walk away from the square, that's when the demons move with regard to stalking using commercial planes. And this is what I documented the entity stalking at 4:10 p.m. And you will see the evidence of the fake sun where the entity is stalking. And this is after the exit of the Ovid Family Community Library where the fake sun is remaining. This is combined with what is the fake sun at the same address, 224 North Euclid Avenue this morning. And this is also part of the greater pattern of conduct where this could not be the sun, for example, when I'm in Los Angeles at Planet Fitness off of Washington, and at around the same time, 4:10 p.m., the fake sun is over my sunroof, over the top of my head, that is, and Southwest Airlines is gang stalking me in Los Angeles. That is LAX is gang stalking. That is the city of Los Angeles is gang stalking. That is the state of California is gang stalking me. Okay, this is where an entity is maintaining aerial surveillance, flying over my head with a small plane. That's the government, that's the city of Ontario, maintaining ongoing gang stalking conduct using commercial planes, deviating from any takeoffs from the airport. They're not taking off from the airport by flying over 224 North Euclid Avenue, doing so while they're hovering. The entity's doing the same thing, hovering over the Ontario City Hall. The entity's engaging what is hovering over the Stater Brothers parking lot, which is west of this location. The entity's not engaging in takeoffs and landings, especially when they're also engaging in what is doing nothing other than pacing, donuts, flying toward me and then making a U-turn. And it is toward me because this is where the fake sun is over me. That's giving you what is the target with regard to who is stalking who and who is being targeted, who is being stalked by a population in that environment. It is not the people of the state. It is not the government. It is also not normal, everyday, ongoing, innocent conduct because they are under what is a scientific impossibility. So is at nightfall where they're all pacing around, because that's what you're doing in engineer light. These are cockroaches and they're pacing and they're all stalking in that same environment. It's impossible light, as you are now aware of, because it's not the sun, nor is it sunlight. You're always looking at impossible light activity. And in this environment, at the Ontario Town Square, the entity is stalking. Doing so, as I documented in images, and this is relevant to the city of Ontario that's acting in furtherance of murder. This is, I was about to say license plates, excuse me. I did document license plates, and everybody that I'm documented by license plates are sharing in the criminal pattern of conduct with the government that's maintaining aerial surveillance, okay? 4:10 p.m., 4:13 p.m., 4:50 p.m., 5:11 p.m., 5:24 p.m., 5:38 p.m., a small plane is flying directly over my head as I take a picture of it, and then I zoomed in to take a screenshot so you could see it, but that's at 5:38 p.m., and so the screenshot will be at like 5:38 p.m. in some seconds, or perhaps goes into 5:39 p.m., but I immediately take a screenshot after I take the picture. It's at 5:38 p.m. At 5:39 p.m., 60 seconds later, approximately 60 seconds, the entity then encircles me with helicopter activity. Doing so after the entity flies over my head by a smaller plane. And then at 5:49 p.m., after a demon is stalking using a helicopter, speaking to an agency which is acting in conformity to a city's pattern of conduct, a statewide pattern of conduct. The entity then engages in what is stalking me again, that is engaging in what is monitoring me using the specific method of helicopter activity, which is designed to threaten the life, psychologically torture, and terrorize you because the police are engaging in gang stalking. That's the purpose, and that's the analysis behind the any police department engaging in gang stalking. At 5:49 p.m., the demon then progresses toward me again in another helicopter as I then begin processing the video evidence of them stalking me in a helicopter at 5:39 p.m. That's the entity that's engaging in what is Title 18 federal stalking, also of the evidence. So you're already stalking me, and then they engage in more of this terrorism as I then proceed to publish it, put it on X, put it on Threads, put it on Facebook, put it on YouTube. Capture screenshots of the people of the state that are gang stalking me in concert with that agency, with that city. Okay, this is the entity as I'm capturing in video after video and picture after picture, coming back and flying over my head again, flying in circles again, flying around the perimeter again, doing so under the fake sun that's remaining at the same address. They are specifically stalking me. Okay, the entity is engaging in this as I'm documenting at 6:07 p.m., 6:27 p.m., 6:40 p.m., and 6:50 p.m. The Ontario International Airport maintaining a straight beeline, flying in the same line in a relevant position, stalking me, keeping me under surveillance at the Ontario Town Square. This is captured in images and in video. This is relevant to the prosecution, the removal of the Ontario International Airport, the removal of that airport board. They're going to be identified and prosecuted as a terrorist. And they've been conspiring my murder by gang stalking me through the airport with the intent to drive an American citizen crazy, psychologically torture them, that is, while this government has been engaged in criminal defamation. This is the purpose of Tracy Banks and Jason Isaac Fields and Eric Spencer's defamatory testimony in court, their perjury. All right. The ongoing targeting by the federal government that's not conducting an investigation. They were gang stalking me and they called it an investigation, and there was never any lawful investigation under any circumstances because the entity defamed me at the outset, intending to steal from me. This is the greater pattern of conduct, and this is the entity that's going to be prosecuted and removing the police, the fire department, and the airport. These are the functions, the resources of terrorism, while this government has sought to murder me maliciously in concert with the people that are gang stalking with it. This is P.O.C.
All right, this is my shadow appearing over here. That's my shadow. All right, this is the same impossible light activity during the day where the fake sun sits over this 224 North Euclid Avenue, where the Ontario International Airport has been engaged in surveillance all day long. This light activity is in front of me, and this is my shadow behind me. It's elongated, it's magnified. And they are stalking. They're engaging in surveillance with the city. They're maintaining surveillance, and demons are walking in this engineer light, monitoring. I'm taking pictures of them. They're crossing path, and so are demons in planes and helicopters. The entity is gang stalking Mule Car Smokehouse, Metro 102 Apartments, the 280 North Limit Apartments. The entity is maintaining surveillance around all of the venues, including Ovid, that's closed. The people that said are maintaining surveillance, the Ceres Regis Group, Downtown Ontario Luxury Apartments, Wells Fargo, Herradura de Oro, the Unique Cafe, all these businesses, and traffic. The entity is engaged in gang stalking. All right, this is maintaining surveillance all around. And what is engineer light? This is relevant for what is surveillance. This is not normal light activity, and that's where the Ontario International Airport is maintaining surveillance in the ways in which I'm showing and publishing online. That amplified plane activity is relevant to monitoring. It's not a takeoff, and you're not taking off miles away. You're also doing so under a fake sun that sits over one address, over me at one address, where the entity is also clearly targeting in furtherance of murder. And they're keeping this evidence under surveillance while they continuously engage in that. And they're also engaging in what is sexual violence, targeting me with impossible light activity over here while they are obsessively monitoring. Those are demons stalking on Limit Avenue. This is P.O.C. This is relevant to what is ongoing stalking pursuant to murder. These are demons that are pacing all around, stalking around the perimeter. That's what they're doing in the engineer light with the entity that's using planes and helicopters. This is P.O.C. It is currently 7:30 p.m.
(7:55 p.m.) That's the entity that's still stalking, flying over the same beeline over the field of the Ontario Town Square right in front of me as I am facing, sitting on the wall facing a large clock. And the entity is hovering over this senior citizen apartment complex and over the Ontario Town Square at that volume level, which, again, the entity is maintaining that same volume and elevation much west of this location, down Hope Boulevard at the Ontario Village over this State Brothers parking lot. The entity is stalking, and they're also stalking while the engineer light is present. This is relevant to surveillance. These are demons that are monitoring. It is currently 7:55 p.m. This is P.O.C. That's the same method of audible noise, light activity. That's the gang stalker, Michael GERKEN. This is what they were doing while the demons were stalking me by helicopter, following me to 537 North Euclid Avenue. It's called criminal summoning. 7:56 p.m. P.O.C. Surveillance at Ovid Family Community Library. 8:31 p.m. Stalking with light. This is the female. Parked in a white with aim light. She's stalking with light. License 8EZS 556. It's 8:31 p.m. She is stalking with the demons, engaging in surveillance at the town square, remaining around me. Engaging in stalking with the entity that's been maintaining aerial surveillance and is stalking. That's Sarah's Regis that's stalking with the demons that are right around me, while the demons are stalking with a helicopter, including that third party with that license plate that I just read. It's currently 8:32. The Ontario Police is stalking in the path by helicopter. This is 320 North Euclid Avenue, Sarah's Regis Group, gang stalking. This is the third party that's monitoring. License plate, yeah, creeping into the parking garage, monitoring 8HZT415 with Ontario Police, 87335J3 with Ontario Police. Yeah, license 7XHP195 with Ontario Police. Maintaining light activity in the parking garage with Ontario Police. Creeping right on inside because I walked inside of the parking garage. This is light activity. This is the purpose of a fake sun all day long. I just want to be clear. This is why immigration is going to apply. This is why federal prison is going to apply. License 9LEG545. License 9KZR416. Sarah's Regis, again, 320 North Euclid Avenue. The entire property is Sarah's Regis. It's gang stalking with the Ontario Police. License 9VIT648, 9DYN403, and they've been stalking while I've been at the Ontario Town Square. I'm just reading license plates right now. License. That's amplified audible activity with the demon that's engaging in surveillance, just like the demon, the female on the outside, parked outside of Ovid. They're maintaining light where I am, and the demons are stalking in a helicopter in my path along Lemon Avenue. 9VIT648. EG15710 paper, 9PAB421, license 9KZR416. It's 8:34 p.m. This is the coordinated conduct of stalking around, maintaining presence all around the target individual with light and presence. And this is conducted as a population, and this is mental illness by obsessed stalkers who are absurdly demented, and they plan to commit murder while they're stalking in this manner. Mike LORENZ is a co-conspirator of murder with Tracy Banks, with the state of California, with the demons that are stalking me in planes, with demons that are stalking in the middle of the parking lot, sitting on the sides of the streets, stalking via traffic, stalking Ontario police vehicles. This is an entity that's going to be prosecuted for conspiring murder. This is the government's conduct, P.O.C. (9ULG291). (9UWP868). License plate 5NKW142. Demons stalking on foot, engaging in surveillance, pacing all around in the dark, stalking a woman. These are co-conspirators of murder. This is what the police that are going to be disbanded, facilitate, encourage, and participate in together. These are murderers. That's why the police is engaging in stalking with a bunch of strange dudes that are stalking all around at night, and they also do the same thing around me, stalking me all night long where I'm sleeping, engaging what is pacing all around me like psychopaths you're engaging in that while they're waiting for the moment to take your life. These are co-conspirators of murder. All right, it is currently 8:38 p.m. Stalking following from the square back to where I'm located. P.O.C. License plate, stalking, crossing path. 8CC7319, 7HWX195 is ARCO. ARCO is stalking, in concert with all the stalkers that are going as patrons to engage in stalking. The entity is stalking because the entity follows with its environment. The establishments are stalking in the same way. 89813V1. Arco's at 43402 Good Avenue. This is why I'm documenting a fake son at Arco in the morning and a fake son at Arco in the afternoon and a fake son at Arco in the evening. Arco is going to be prosecuted as a sex offender, as a co-conspirator of murder, profiting off of gang stalking as well. License 8NRN890. These are a bunch of stalkers threatening with that establishment. License plate RICKCG. These are gang stalkers at the Chevron gas station. License 6NYD346. 8FSF983. 88666B3. 8PPK649. 9NIC062. Starbucks right across the street is monitoring with these demons that are maintaining light all around me. They're all working on behalf of the Ontario police that's stalking. The City of Ontario maintaining aerial surveillance. These are psychopaths stalking with light. It's 8:40 p.m. All right, surrounding on all sides inside of the tiny, teeny little Chevron. This is how psychopathic and obsessed and mentally ill the demon-possessed that are gang stalking are. Chevron's going to be prosecuted for terrorism and stalking me in concert with the demons that are making purchases, proving their criminal engagement in the P.O.C. This is speaking of mental illness. Stalking inside of a little market, that's mental illness. P.O.C. All right, molestation by sex offenders that are monitoring my device usage at 53702 Good Avenue. That is the RAYBON mortgage venue where the entities engage in surveillance via aircraft, surveillance via the people, Chevron, German, deportation very likely applies with regard to the gang stalking venue employing immigrants such as those at the venues that I'm speaking to, including Chevron. This is relevant to sex offenders that are going to be deported, engaging with sexual violence, while German is gang stalking with the patrons and gang stalking with Chevron, the establishment, as a means where I am subject to sexual violence, where impossible light activity is touching my body while I'm at 53703 Good Avenue. Those psychopaths are stalking me inside of that little market, and they're stalking by filling up their gas tanks, wanting to obsessively be around me, psychopaths that are sex offenders, and at a distance from me, molesting my body with impossible light for monitoring purposes at that, and furtherance of murder. This is in concert with ARCO at 434 Good Avenue, and the moment that I turn on my other device, this is when I'm subject to a sex offense. That is a sex offender that is stalking in the specific environment and specifically takes F Street onto Euclid in order to touch my breast and face and thighs and all of my body, and unlawful touching pursuant to stalking on behalf of the government, and furtherance of murder because it's monitoring as my device is turned on and powered on. And this is committed by all of that entity, including the demons that are stalking in planes and helicopters, including the mayor to be removed. This is sexual violence, criminal activity by an entity. I do go to the extent and document and specifically identify that as demons within that entity. Okay, but this is criminal conduct that 53703 Good Avenue is engaging in, and I'm subject to the criminal conduct of bucket, crab, and crawfish, the Iglesia Apostolic Profetica at the gang stalking Spanish church over here. They're the Bethel congregation, a gang stalking venue where the demons are stalking in the path, molesting with light. It's not limited to business hours. The demon possessed are engaged in all manner of use of these properties, stalking all around and inside of them and around them, stalking me with light, flying over them with all manner of aircraft, and these venues are going to be prosecuted. Okay, with regard to prosecuting, for example, Chevron for a sex offense, it is a person under the law, and it's a person that's facilitating surveillance with the government, and that person, that corporate, that commercial actor, is going to be prosecuted. Okay, and the ways in which it is used to engage in terrorism, like the demon possessed are doing. Okay, it is currently 9:37 p.m. The demon possessed are engaging in the P.O.C. together. That's amplified audible activity and engineered light. The demon possessed are engaged in more and more sexual violence as I document, because they're monitoring on my device. They're monitoring the evidence against them as well. That's relevant to obstruction and interference with a federal case. This is mental illness that is, again, unaddressed, and mental illness that's going to be relevant in the prosecution of gang stalkers. All of them. It is currently 9:37 p.m. This is P.O.C. Demons who are mentally ill engage in harassment by amplified audible activity and satanic psychopathic pacing, because that's all that they're doing in engineered light. They're all stalking. This isn't traffic. So demons that are monitoring evidence who are mentally ill are engaging in what is ongoing, vigorous, amplified level of pacing, stalking me, and they're doing so while demons are also on the sidewalk in engineered light. They're engaging in stalking. That's why engineered light covers the sidewalk while they're monitoring, wanting to pace all around me like sharks swimming circles around me. That's all these demons are doing, and the entity's engaging in harassment while doing so. This is all state action. This is why I want to be clear. While you're prosecuting a case, as I'm showing you how this is executed, mayors are being removed from office. You're going to be removed from office while a whole city is engaging in criminal conduct against an American citizen. You are being plucked out from your position by virtue of that existing, let alone what are facts and circumstances that may very well include a prosecution of that gang stalker calling themselves a mayor. Okay, that's amplified audible activity and engineered light that demons are driving in, and the government has no warrant or probable cause for any of these defendants. The entity is doing so while they're all obsessed over what I'm doing and engaging in what is psychopathic behavior, because demons are angry while you're documenting them, while they're engaging in what is conspiring your murder, stalking in the first place. And these are demons that engage in what is a failed sacrifice. So now they're being humiliated, and they're also subject to what is a prosecution, one of the many forms of judgment that the demon possessor is subject to. Okay, these demons are engaged in threatening. They're stalking by walking all around me, stalking with amplified noise, and stalking with impossible light. These are sex offenders. They engage in stalking all day long under a fake sun that remain at the Ontario Town Square, basically. Outside of the Open Family Community Library, rising and setting right there. Well, rising right here where I'm at 537, and setting on the opposite side of the same block at C Street in Euclid. And the demons are stalking with light while they're monitoring obsessively, keeping my vagina under surveillance, keeping my evidence under surveillance, and stalking me obsessively while doing so. Okay? It's currently 9:44 p.m. This is P.O.C. The entity is maintaining aerial surveillance, patrolling directly over me where I'm located at the bus stop. And all of this amplification, all this impossible light activity, all this ongoing harassment and terrorism, the government is directly engaged in it and knowledgeable about it and participating in it. Okay, this is a entity that Jason Isaac Fields is a part of, engaging in what is gang stalking me and calling it investigation. It was never, that's the malice of a government. It's like the Ontario police who aren't investigating anything. It's like the police that are sound sirens where there's no emergency. They're engaged in monitoring. Like a fire department sounding, it's monitoring. All right, so this is an entity that's gang stalking with these psychopaths on the roads and the highways, pacing all around me. Mental illness, okay, pervasive and unaddressed. Okay, this is P.O.C. It's currently 9:45 p.m. All right, license. The people of the state engaging in what is surveillance in concert with the government that is stalking in planes and helicopters, stalking as a population under a fake sun in furtherance of the program intending to psychologically torture preceding murder, stalking on behalf of Michael LORENZ, stalking on behalf of Michael GERKEN, stalking on behalf of Alan D. WAPNER, stalking in concert with Paul Leon, stalking with demons that are using commercial planes like they are right now at 537 North Euclid Avenue. As I begin reciting on my phone right now, podcast, that's a demon that's monitoring, engaging in surveillance with the sex offenders who are molesting with impossible light. From Chevron, touching me with light, driving north on Euclid, south on Euclid, up by the way, excuse me, I meant south on Euclid, because those are not their headlights, and during the day it's not sunlight. They're driving under a fake sun. Okay, these are demons that are engaging in stalking together, and it includes the demons whose license plates I'm going to recite, sharing an ongoing surveillance, obsessive, hovering, diligent stalking which is committed because this entity that is stalking and is engaging in what is monitoring, which is demonic, is doing so in order to psychologically torture and ultimately kill, murder. Okay, this is third parties that are sharing in this sexual violence committed as a public entity, sharing in the psychological torture committed as a public entity, sharing in criminal stalking committed as a public entity. And stalking that exceeds criminal stalking, it is monitoring, which is demonic. It is supernatural, which is getting to the malice of a government that's practicing demonic behaviors that is also psychologically harmful and sexually demented and predatory and motivated. Okay, this is what the entity is doing while they're on the roads and the highways. They're engaging in demonic activity. They are driving in an environment that is supernatural. They're maintaining a supernatural environment. And by virtue of their presence, they are practicing the demonic, which is in furtherance of the harm of that targeted individual, who is shown to be the focal point of that environment that defies nature, such as the fake sun that remains over me. Both where I'm located in the morning is where it's rising. And on this same street, on the opposite side of this same block, which was at Ontario Town Square, that's where that fake sun set. Where the demons that are stalking in commercial planes right now, like they openly expose themselves. And that's going to be used against people like Alan D. Wapner and people like the demons flying Delta Airlines and Southwest Airlines and Frontier Airlines and Alaska Airlines. These demons are going to be before courts. And this evidence is going to be used against them while they are now openly engaging in what is clearly stalking. Because there is no pilot taking off that will have any sort of activity creation that will pick up here. You can have pilots provide, this is an example, pilots provide expert testimony in court. You can conduct an investigation regarding an actual pilot, even include one in order to prosecute, and that is relevant to proving targeting while the demons are using commercial planes and the airport, the location of the airport, in addition to what is science regarding the environment where they're engaging and deviating from what are the ordinary operations of an airport, in concert with the people of the state whose behavior is not only present in that environment, but they are participating in that demonic that is psychologically torturous, sexually violent, sexually motivated, and psychopathic with regard to intending to murder the person that they are stalking. Okay, this is what an entity is doing together, and it is underway by the people of the state, and every license plate is sharing in all the totality of that criminal system. The totality of it, excuse me. License 53831H3. These are sex offenders, and they're sharing in sexual assault and battery as an entity. They're sharing in stalking me with the whole fake environment. They're sharing and stalking me in helicopters and in commercial planes and in smaller government planes flying over my head. They're sharing and stalking me with impossible light and molesting my breast and molesting my body part and blinding me in my face and touching me from a quarter of a mile away with light that's not coming from any sort of sun or even a vehicle or signage. Where I'm terrorized in the environment where my shadow does things such as magnify and size, multiply and number, appear above my head. Each and every last one of these demons are accountable and are engaging in the totality of that offense. Okay? And this is committed in furtherance of murder. The gang stalkers are being prosecuted as conspirators to murder. License plate 61510Y1. I am documenting Tracy Banks at what is 1:14 a.m. She's engaging in what is presence at ARCO and doing so while I am uploading the podcast after Ontario Police engage in stalking with the Ontario Fire, engaging in criminal summoning with Ontario Police. Right here at this intersection where they're flying in circles over my head, engaging in this very conduct, okay? A demon walking by, causing an earthquake. Demons driving by, causing blinding light that's causing multiple shadows all behind me on the wall to vacillate all around. They're monitoring together, engaging in terrorism. And they're doing so while they seek to terrorize the person that they intend to murder. And they also engage in what is ongoing harassment and terrorism. In doing so, Tracy Banks arrives at 434 North Euclid Avenue. That's the ARCO, the facilitating venue that's gang stalking right now and on a ceaseless basis. She is participating, conspicuously stalking me in my presence. I'm witnessing her doing so while she approaches me and I speak with her and I do document her presence. License plate. Her license plate is 9HUZ740. License plate. And she's gang stalking me with all these demons. She's engaged in targeting me. This is what is so maniacal and what is so cold-blooded about Tracy Banks and Eric Spencer's engagement in the P.O.C. In addition to the things that they've also engaged in, understand the malice that is obvious with regard to stalking with police departments, defaming you in concert with corrupt police departments, engaging in criminal defamation while you're engaged in what is a program of psychological torture. That's the entity that intends to murder and kidnap you and steal from you by defaming you. Okay, that's what Tracy Banks and the people of the state and the gang stalkers maintaining plane and helicopter activity and stalking with impossible light are engaging in and are ceaselessly engaging in. While I'm documenting right now, the license plates that I'm reading, this entity is engaging in that ongoing ceaseless POC. This is relevant to their mental illness. Mental illness is going to be relevant to the prosecution. They will be both diagnosed. The entity is going to be subject to commitments, and the entity is also going to be convicted for criminal activity, which is also relevant to their mental assessments. And they're engaging in it in real time. That's relevant to their obsession. That's relevant to their delusion. That's relevant to their inability to refrain from targeting other people. That's what this is relevant to. Okay, stalking at bucket crab and crawfish. Demons stalking in the path, doing so in the parking lot of El Pescado. These are demons that are maintaining light activity, ongoing surveillance by these venues and by the demons that are at those venues. It's the same thing at the gas stations, at the gas stalls. It's the same thing with regard to being parked on the side of the road outside of Starbucks, going in the drive-thru, being at the traffic lights. These are all forms of stalking in the path with light, while the entity, a society, is engaging in surveillance. Okay, this is what the entity is doing ceaselessly, and doing so, engaging in sexual violence while you're being documented, is a very violent sex offender. And this is the personality disorder of rapists and pedophiles, predators that are engaging in gang stalking. Okay, because that's what they are routinely engaging in. This is the purpose of stalking with amplified plane activity at the moment that I start recording. I'm not going to stop recording while you engage in that. The entity is always doing that. While I publish the evidence of the entity stalking by helicopter, the entity will fly over my head by helicopter. I'm not going to stop publishing the video of you stalking me by helicopter. In fact, it's more evidence of you stalking by helicopter. This is how the entity is putting itself in prison. And this is what the entity has provided years of evidence of. And the kidnappers and the stalkers in planes and helicopters are going to prison. Okay? License plate. 8 Yolanda Henry 435. These are the people of the state that are acting with the city of Ontario that needs the people of the state to engage in predatory conduct. The government needs the sex offenders to stalk me in the bathroom. The government needs the sex offenders and the psychopaths to stalk on the sides of the road, to engage in surveillance in every restaurant, in any church building, at any corner, on every street. The government needs the people of the state to engage in criminal surveillance where they live as they are traveling, and the people of the state are being prosecuted accordingly. Okay? License plate 9 Apple Kelly Thomas 425. License plate 87119 Bob 4. License 9 Uncle Victor William 290, I believe. Oops, hold on. That is again, 9 Charlie Victor Nancy 290. This is the Chevron employee, license 7 Xavier Igloo Yolanda 347. Deportation may very well apply again. License 8 Frank Edward David 743. License Edward George 33 Paul 52 paper plate. License plate 9 Thomas Igloo Henry 520. This is the ARCO employee. Deportation may apply. And deportation checks are going to apply universally when you're prosecuting a city for gang stalking. I.I.S, just in case you were wondering, you're talking about the federal government that's going to, a part of protocol and targeting terrorists is going to be all immigrants being deported. That's going to be a formal process with regard to targeting terrorists that are in the way that the city of Ontario is showing you how gang stalking is executed. You're going to deport all the immigrants in the city. Okay, and there's no exception with regard. I don't care if the immigrant is sitting as a fire chief, like I've already stated, they're going to be deported. Okay, this is terrorism, and there are no lines of accepting some terrorists to be permitted to stay in this country. They're engaged in the same psychopathic stalking with the government using planes and helicopters, stalking with impossible light, praying and sitting around stalking, lurking in the middle of the night, pacing all around the target individual all day long, all night long, as like a psychopath under a fake sun, doing so with amplified audible activity while they are mentally ill, stalking somebody else that they intend to murder and celebrate and profit off of. You're being deported. Okay. License plate. 6 Henry Victor Bob 231. 9 Robert Henry Xavier 518. 8 Uncle Paul Charlie 308, I believe. License 5 Bob Kelly Robert 768. License 70978 Victor 2. License 34225 Bob 4. That loser was dressed up for a baseball game, unless he just likes walking around in leotards. Gang stalking, going to the gas station, gang stalking a woman in a market before doing so. That loser was license plate 34225 Bob 4 at Chevron at 506 North Euclid Avenue. License 1 Yolanda Larry 430, that's Texas. 6 Yolanda Xavier Uncle 521.